Okay. Well, I guess we're off. Do we want to just go with the usual party? I kind of like the usual party.
Sir? The Hall of Songs, please.
Well, Calden has to go, but yeah.
I like
I'd
her
take
because
her.
she's got Innervate, which boosts an ally.
Okay.
And herself. Actually, you know what? No.
Oh.
Let's bring her for once.
Why?
She's got the new fire move. I want to see it in action.
Okay,
Burning.
fine.
Why? You wanted...
No, it's okay. I just have personal preferences when it comes to characters.
Fine, we'll go with her until we're forced to use the fire chick.
I just think that she isn't as well a developed character.
Yeah, well, she hasn't really. She's been kind of a tag-along.
Well, people still don't know if they can truly trust her, but...
Yep. She's proven to be honorable. I just ran through the wagon.
Cicero. If things do not go well inside...
I will not abandon you.
It's not that. I need you to know how grateful I am for everything that you've already done.
We'll be fine, Calden.
I'm gonna be surprised if we have to fight our way out of here.
And this is his brother's?
Yes, head matron. I spoke with Mirabos after Calden had visited the hall some days ago. She told me that his brother had intended this for him.
He rarely spoke of this brother of his.
Of course. His family likely was too ashamed to call him their blood. Their chimes would be in jeopardy.
As they are in your hands?
Ah, Calden. It's a pleasure to see you.
Likewise, head matron.
And Inspectore Gavar, it's been a while.
Head matron?
Now, Mariner, you are aware of the reason you have been called here?
I have my suspicions.
Your sleeve, then, if you will.
Matron, if I might have a...
Your sleeve, Calden. There, matron. It is true.
What is true, exactly?
Matron, I spoke of this earlier. That tattoo is proof that...
That what? Answer me precisely, if you would.
What do you mean?
Calden has a tattoo. And I do not see anything unusual about art on the skin.
But that tattoo is evidence that he deserves to be punished.
For what? Precisely.
He is Talios.
And is that my business, or is it his?
You are defending him.
As a matron should, for her own people.
This is against the laws of society.
Society governs those laws, songstress. And as the leader of a large part of that society, I choose to stand by this man.
This? No.
Orlana!
Calden!
Is she gonna...
I will call for Mirabos.
Thank you.
Is she gonna, like, chop his branch off or something?
Very possibly.
Most people's branches are probably little twigs at this point. But, I don't know.
I was gonna mention, Zelia, or whatever her name is, carrying a giant, like...
Scroll thing?
No, that's a musical instrument!
Oh.
It's like an... What is it?
Oboe?
An oboe or a bassoon? It's a bassoon.
Oh, okay.
Because the bassoons are like the big rod
They're
thing
the
with
huge
the like
ones.
with like the little like mouthpiece that kind of comes off randomly to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just I finally
Orlana,
recognized it.
Stay back!
Please, Orlana, put the chime down.
Do not tell me what to do, beast! You corrupted my brother!
Listen to me, please.
How did you defile his mind?
I did not.
Liar! You must have fed him something, given him some poison to turn him into a beast like you.
I did no such thing.
He was my brother, and you took him away from me. I loved him.
As did I.
You speak of poisons and defilement and treachery. The truth is far simpler. I loved him.
But you took him away from me. You took away my brother and replaced him with something else.
That is not true. He was always the same romantic, sentimental man that you grew up with. This doesn't change that. If there is a reason to be angry at me, it is because I was a coward. It was because of my fear of being honest about who I was, about what we were, that stopped me from giving him the support that he needed. When he needed it the most, I shouldn't have abandoned him. But I did. And I am sorry.
Sorry isn't going to bring my brother back.
Olanna!
Go! Stop being on your phone.
Brr. Ah.
That is
Wrong.
Calden, the chime!
Help me, Cicero!
Cicero!
Matron, she was hit hard.
She will require extensive healing. Her pulse is barely there. I must take her down now, or she will not survive.
Go, Zelia. We'll handle this. Something is wrong. It is never this aggressive. What happened?
Olanna tried to feed it the chime, but it attacked her.
Attacked her? Ages. It's out of control. And the chime?
It took it.
Then it's feeding off the song. We need to kill it. We cannot afford to let it remain like this.
What about the chime?
If we are quick enough, the song might survive. Sisters, prepare yourselves. I hope you're ready, Cicero.
As I'll ever be.
Wait, they knew that there was an evil thing connected to the tree?
Apparently
Now,
so.
Cicero.
What the fuck is this thing?
Begins.
It's a mangiatore, apparently. With tentacles.
Like,
Junk.
I will.
Do they always feed people's chimes to this thing?
I don't think so.
No, but like the woman knew to feed it to him. And like they just talked about her feeding it to it as though it was commonplace.
Okay, so I gotta make sure it does not summon little goonies.
Well, there's the little goonies.
Okay, there we go.
Bloop.
Ugh.
No!
No!
There's something inside?
Isn't that the song of his brother sang?
No.
Someone should have been there to catch it.
Thank you, Cicero. That Fae, Aegis knows what happened to it.
I've always wondered why you songstresses wanted to keep people out.
That isn't the reason. For all the centuries the singing tree has been here, it's never acted like this. Oh,
What are you thinking?
something is happening. Something that we cannot see, that is on a level beyond us. It frightens me to wonder what it might be.
Indeed.
But it is settled, at least for now. As for other matters,
He's a good man, Mirabas. Saved Olanna when he could have saved the song.
and now that song is gone forever.
You will consider my request, though?
Society will not change, even if I do this, Cicero.
I'm not asking for it to. But please, even you can tell that he is deserving of better.
Perhaps I am being blinded by tradition, but I suppose I can do this. As a favor to him for saving the life of my songstress, even if she might not have been quite so generous.
Thank you, Mirabas.
I will tend to it now. I'll be back shortly.
I remember parts of the song.
I have it recorded.
Oh.
How are you feeling?
The head matron has decided to leave the sail heart in my care. There's great consolation in that.
Calden, will you face me, please? Why? Tell me, Calden. Please.
It's not worth a life. Jax has taught me that.
When I went to the Sailheart, there were children there. Did they call Jax as their father?
They do.
Could I meet them?
Of course.
That would be nice. I think I'll see you around.
I know it's not Razatov, but...
Take your heart, take my hand. I will lead you through storm and fire. The blood may thin, the bow may break, but our cradle will e'er be shared. The wound will heal, the songs will ring, and soon again will your spirit sing. Take my heart, take your hand. I await you in promised land.
Not quite as good, but still his tune and his words.
All right, big man.
All right, Fae Mangatore.
Yeah, let's look up what that big thing was. They were keeping it from
If I
everyone.
can find it. Lore, magic.
Sure wouldn't be under culture?
Maybe. Man, I don't know. It's impossible to find these things without like...
That's because they're not in order.
Nope. Fae Kilgan,
Okay, there it is.
Okay, Mangatore.
Long have the songstresses kept mum about the fae that resides at the tip of the singing tree. Certainly, it is in record somewhere, but a few ever speak of it. The songstresses have a method of clearing out the songs from chimes, so new ones can take their place. This fae must have been it. Yeah, Kilgan are fae of the stone, and Faravaro.
Bark and Leaf.
Bark and Leaf. Yeah, so those are the ones that attacked us down in the sort of underground area.
The Bulgia are the ones that we fought in that initial sewer. Paper Fae, Shadow Fae. Okay. I'm gonna slowly kind of zip past some of these. I know we could read them, but it's just like... Codexes are really cool, but they grind gameplay to a halt.
The 8th Canticle. The 8th Canticle is the canticle that we find ourselves in presently. It is currently in its 15th Misura, having begun in 349 IL, and many suspect that the songstresses are waiting for the end of the War of the Bearings to declare the end of the canticle. The Bright War ended in 352 IL, and have lasted 5 years, but the songstresses do not deem the canticle over, for the end of the war has not been as critical point in the Song of Ages. Instead of attitudes towards the Contadani becoming better after the war, they worsened. The Contadani were viewed as the cause of death of so many. Masquerada and fueled the scorn held between them, or by them. The lingering dissent and unsolved issues between the Masquerada and the Contadani escalated over the years and came to a head with my brother's rebellion against the White Spire 5 years ago. Okay. And more lore. Looks like there's a big chime over there. The 7th canticle. Coin and kin. The 7th canticle lasted for 15 Masura, from 289 to 340 IL, and with the cutting off of the Ombrians from the Rendagia that wished to move to the city and came drawing off the first line of distinction that was to shape the nation in the decades to come. With most of the Masquerada residing in the city, the gap between the Masquerada and the Contadani began to widen, mirroring the segregation that the city experienced from the Rendagia. Without any external threats to defend themselves against the unifying of the Masquerada, the relentless power of the Ombre began turning on itself, and feuds between the guilds began to erupt. The registry could do little but to control the guilds because in this time they had already lost much of their influence. Do you know what? I think I'm having that issue again where the brightness of the screen with all the darkness of the room is bad. They always say that you should always have a light on in a room with a screen. Cause
you can stop smacking me to prove your point here.
It's blurry.
For people that don't know, she's like, every time she like tries to make a point, she smacks my arm with the back of her hand repeatedly. Not that it hurts, but it's just like,
it's because
stop that.
I don't know.
Like if I just like mushed your face a little bit whenever I was just like, here's a point.
I don't know if I have your attention. I'm also subtly asking for you to turn a light on in this room. Also, there's another gnat buzzing around and I hate it. Okay, the registry could do little to control the guilds because at this time they had already lost much of their influence over the city, and with the wards that they'd given to the guilds now threatening their own territories. The Cacciatori were fashioned in 299 IL to fend off Masquerada, who saw the Rendagia as land to be claimed instead of as part of the same nation. There were great numbers of Contadani that suffered because of the feuds between the Masquerada, and this allowed Contadani resentment towards the Masquerada to fester. The event that broke the reservation of the Contadani was the execution of Tamara de Rossi, a woman who organized groups of vigilante Contadani who worked at the docks that would secretly pilfer the cargo of wealthy merchants and distribute them to the poor in an attempt to close the widening disparity between the rich and the poor, aka Robin Hood. I'm kidding. Her execution sparked the festering resentment that the Contadani harbored and inspired them to pick up arms and begin a revolution. Thus began the Bright War in 347 IL, and the ending of the 7th canticle. See, if I try going fast, it just makes enunciation
hard. Now you
difficult.
See how I feel.
Yes.
Cause like that bit itself was like
long.
2 minutes long, probably.
Sorry.
No, I'm not saying it's against you. It's
Rise,
lore,
my
logs.
It is found.
It? What could that be? Also, turning on the light really did help.
Is your face all right? You haven't stopped smiling since we left the hall.
It's just, all my life I've lived in fear, and now you've changed my life, Cicero.
Oh, come now, I didn't do...
You showed me that even in a city of secrets and shadows, the truth has a place in our hearts and is worth fighting for. I know the city isn't going to change because of what we've done, and the Hall of Songs probably isn't going to sail to different winds overnight. But you've made a difference, Cicero. In my life, at least. Know that.
I think I might have needed this ordeal as much as you.
Come on. Let's see if our Fae friend is back.
I wonder how many chapters there are.
Tower. It's not sharp with spires. It's more of a tall dome.
What's going on?
Keep going. Salting. I can't believe I hadn't seen this earlier.
You've lost me.
It was the key to understanding Dementicula. Adaran Vamus, the first man who salted and retained a portion of his mind, could, during his lucid moments, read, write, and speak Dementicula, just like Vasco. He was the cornerstone upon which all research into the language was based.
What are you saying?
I'm saying it's a bridge. Sorting connects the two souls, the two minds, the two spirits, or whatever you want to call them. And it happens when we use the Mascherines' powers too strongly, tap too deeply into another soul.
So they're connected?
Exactly. And now, all the stories of the past are at our fingertips. Imagine all that we could learn now that we understand this connection.
All right. So what's the poor bloodling done to deserve this?
Vasco's claimed that he's had a few memories that seem to have been left over by the Dimenticate, who'd been his Masquerine. He thinks he can see what their city might have looked like. We're trying to replicate it.
Remember, Bulbous.
I think I've got it.
And that's it?
Let me see. What does it look like? I don't quite know what to make of it.
Vasco.
I can make out a long tower over there, but...
Amadea, that's not a tower. That's a man, with his trousers down. That's his,
Vasco! Will you please take this seriously?
I only see vague images. Nalior, not enough for anything substantial.
I suppose it was worth a try. Rotten swine, you.
Well, now that everything's settled down, I think we've kept our questions in the shadows for long enough.
About the sunken star. Right. You'd best sit down.
First we learned that Mascherines are Dimenticate, and now you're telling me that they're Fae as well.
It makes sense. The increase in the mists in the recent years corresponds with the destruction of the hundreds of Mascherines in the War of Bearings.
This is incredulous, Inspectore. The Fae have been around since time immemorial, and no one has managed to learn where they've come from.
Until now. Think about it, Marshal. Mascherines and Fae. Two things that have existed before the city was even built. Is it really so surprising that they're related?
And Lucia was led by one of them?
Is. If I could get out of there alive, I'm certain she made it through as well. But, yes. She's being led by a Fae they call the Lady. Being Dimenticate, she has knowledge of the world that we haven't even glimpsed.
You said she's trying to stop another cataclysm from occurring.
She mentioned something about uniting the city, bringing the artifacts together. She handed me some scrolls about Dimenticate history to read, but I haven't had the time.
Well, now we do. It's not a long record. It explains the downfall of their civilization. In summary, the single event that served as the pivot for the success of their empire was a civil war.
Sounds familiar.
What was this war about?
The artifacts. For a long time, they were used by the Dimenticate to push the boundaries of their empire.
Which supports what we found at the Conoscenza.
But it couldn't last forever.
Not with the way the artifacts worked.
Calden!
The way they worked? Inspectore!
I'm sorry, Marshal. The artifacts were what were responsible for turning the souls of the Dimenticate into Mascherines. They created the Dimenticate's power.
And everyone knows this?
Marshal, I wanted to tell you.
Carry on.
Tiziana...
Stop wasting my time. How did the Dimenticate fall?
When the artifacts were received by the Dimenticate, they initially sacrificed their prisoners to create the Mascherines. When their empire expanded, they began to turn to ordinary men and women instead. As you can imagine, that did not end well.
Uprisings?
Exactly. Their empire was cleaved in two, those who wanted to continue using the artifacts, and those that demanded that they be kept away, saying that it cost them too much.
Well, the artifacts are nowhere to be found, so I assume the latter faction won?
Correct. And that is when their empire began to crumble. Without the powers of the artifacts, they couldn't stand against the chaos of the world.
Chaos?
It isn't explained exactly what it was, but I think it is safe to assume that it's related to the Cataclysm.
If these scrolls don't mention what the Cataclysm is, then why does Lucia believe another is in store for us?
I don't know. But what I do know is that she believes that she needs to unite the city, and she intends to do that by overthrowing the registry. Just on time.
Kadek?
Sam Bel Ia.
Arish?
Sam Bel Ia.
The Assemblia.
It wants us to go to the altars.
The Misted Isles.
Ah, of course.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
The Misted Isles. A set of monuments left behind by the Dementicate. The Altus built the Assemblia around it to keep people out. Vasco, what's on these monuments that it wants us to see? Can it just tell us what's on it?
Avar?
Don Sivnia. Santa. Atavar.
No. They're guarded, and he doesn't remember precisely. But he promises they're important.
It's all right. At least now we have a lead.
Tiziana should go with you. The relationship between the Altus and the Luca is the strongest of all between the Semora. It might help ease our way in.
Well... do I smell hesitation?
Fine.
Better get ready then.
Hey, looks like she finally gets some character development.
Yep, that's what I was just thinking.
Oh, you're looking much better.
Time heals. I'll be all right, eventually. I have something to show you.
Wait. That's... Javs?
It has been a while.
I cannot believe this. All these years.
You're hurt. I'm sorry, but I couldn't jeopardize my new life.
Your life with the Laboris?
It seemed the best way to find out who it was that killed my parents.
And it's paid off. You've discovered who it was then?
Benak. Not just yet. But that is a mission for another time. A time when the whole of Umber is not at stake.
Why didn't you tell me?
I tried.
The whistles.
And the golden canvas.
And the sunken star. That's why you did it. Why you were willing to salt.
Yes. I couldn't leave you. Not again.
Ages. Where do we go from here?
First things first. Continue to address me as Vasco, please. It's stuck.
I understand.
And secondly, I do not see why this has to change anything. I am still in your company. We still search for the tools to save all of Umber. We keep going. That's what we do.
All right. Let's find these artifacts then.
Let's find these artifacts.
So that was his, what, childhood friend that disappeared or something?
Yes.
And I call myself an inspectore. It's not often that my intuition fails me, and I listen to it for most part, but this, perhaps, it is because part of me wanted to believe that he truly had perished. I had mourned a long time for him, and my mind might have been wanted to preserve the meaning of those tears. Even still, with the whistles and our conversation at the golden canvas, his motivations for being a part of the investigation are beginning to reveal themselves. He knew that I suffered after his supposed death and perhaps felt guilt. After all, if I had to trace my motivations for wanting to insulate myself from the world, that might be where it all started. Being exposed to death at so young an age rarely leaves one untouched, and he knew it. Whatever the case, he is right. It would be silly to remember him as the boy that I had grown up with. Time has shaped him, changed him, and in a sense the child that I remember is dead. There is much closure that needs to be sought with this man, but for now, I do believe enough has been said.
See if I can find an entry for Javs. Because I know it had been mentioned once.
Wouldn't it be in Cicero's file?
Maybe. Problem is I don't want to read all of Cicero's file to find it, so I wanted to take a look. Levinthus, Seymour's Crown, Bracken, Zelia. Antiquary. Because it was like, it was mentioned, but yeah, I guess
about
not.
the twins.
Okay.
That's just about surprised that he's still with you. The fewer ties we developed with the world around us, the better.
Here, 1 second, I'm just
That's
going...
about Cyrus.
God, this is long.
Vasco, more about...
Yeah, these are just his, like, kind of opinions on him. Which I wouldn't mind reading at some point, but I'd rather have them all complete-ish. And even
the thing
then...
is, as the new entries come about, his opinions of them change.
True. No, we should have been reading them all along. It's just, boy, do they, like, disrupt gameplay real hard.
Ages. It makes so much sense.
Talking to yourself again?
Just thinking about the behavior of the Fae. The way they respond to the old world, like the Kilgan in the Cleaver, so careful not to touch the relics. Or those in the pin drop, and the way they shied away from the statue of their god. I always thought they exhibited such strange behaviors because of some inherent power in the relics or something. But they must remember that the items were part of their world. For all I know, the Kilgan could have been my custodial predecessors thousands of years ago.
You're rather quick to humanize them. I don't think most Fae remember who they once were.
Not fully, perhaps, but there is a sliver of humanity in each. That's what the Scythe are. Fragments of humanity used as a seed for the Fae to be born out of. It might be merely a fragment, true, but still. I shouldn't let this get too much in the way. We have work that needs to be done, and I'm sure there'll be time. Later.
Cicero, about earlier.
I suppose she had to find out eventually.
My mind has just been so overwhelmed. Keeping secrets seemed like the least of our concerns, especially now with... tides.
What's bothering you?
Lucia. She's being led by a demented Kate who's been around longer than all our legacies combined. It just worries me what we're standing up against.
We've come this far, haven't we?
I suppose we have. All right. Chins up then.
Marshal.
Inspectore.
You know why I did what I did.
I do. It's because you don't trust me.
I trust you perfectly fine. Your guild, on the other hand.
After all this time, you still don't see it.
I'm sorry?
I am my guild, Inspectore. With hindsight, I suppose I should have made that clearer. Might have spared us both some inconvenience.
What, is she the leader?
Dunno. Let's read the entry.
And so the truth is out. I have delayed it for as long as possible, but I brace myself against her wrath. I suppose that's what makes her reaction even more surprising. She harbors an anger, yes, a cold, wintry one. But beneath that, she is hurt. What astonishes me on two levels. Firstly, it is evidence that she cares. She's invested more in this investigation than I initially thought. Had this just been a simple mission on her part, surely she wouldn't have taken this so personally, but yet, here she is, her heart wounded by my deception. Secondly, and perhaps more surprisingly, I am astonished because I find myself sorry. It seems she isn't the only one who's invested more into our acquaintanceship than I had first expected. Somewhere along the way, my view of her changed. Initially, she'd been a burden, a spy, a threat to be wary of. Now, however, a great defender, a compassionate woman to a degree, perhaps even a friend willing to expose herself. She spoke to me of her father. Let me see into her mind and her heart. Help me understand, if not completely, why she acts the way she does. I do not think one can show or be shown such vulnerability without forming some sort of connection. And I've gone ahead and ruined it. Now, any trust that I might have built with her has been shattered, and it saddens me to a point. Still, though, she has not let her emotions cloud her judgment of the situation, as I will not let mine. At the end of the day, she is a marshal and I'm an inspectore, and we have our jobs to do. Oh, okay. So, that didn't answer our questions.
Nope. Let's see.
What do you seem so pained about?
Uh,
What just... Oh, that's the son of the...
Yeah, I've just been really tired lately. I guess I only did get 5 hours of sleep, so of course I'm super tired.
Yes, we need to get to bed earlier.
Hey, we've got more points. So static.
Well, I think you got a couple more from killing the weird fae thing in the tree. What that's gonna do to the tree, I don't know. What are you doing to your mic?
I'm trying to see what Void does. So, conjures a force field that sucks in enemies within 6 meters for 1 second. This would increase the duration by... It's tiny text that's hard to read. So this would increase the duration, but not the damage. Whereas this would increase the damage. Yeah, let's go with the damage. We're not usually, like, sucking in whole groups of enemies. And I don't think anybody else has enough. Ah, she does. And she does. Okay.
Is it just me, or does it seem like she has the fewest points?
Who?
Or did you spend it in more skill trees?
Are we talking about the fire chick?
No, Amadea.
Oh. No, I poured all of it into one tree.
I see.
Which gets really expensive. Okay. Target becomes vulnerable.
I've noticed that a lot of games have shied away from skill trees.
Yeah. It kind of pisses me off, because what they do instead is just give you, like, basic attributes that you increase. I've been playing a game, Skybreak, lately.
I think it's because in the case of MMOs, there are OP combinations.
I'd rather have the ability to min-max, especially outside of MMOs. It's like, yeah, if you have this totally broken combo that I can eventually work towards, and have this, like, really cool thing because I planned ahead and thought about it and balanced everything well. But no.
Hasn't anyone told you it's rude to stare?
Sir, are we really traveling with that thing?
It needs to follow us, so yes.
Does it, understand us?
Perhaps. It certainly isn't stupid.
Right. Well, anyway, where are we going today, sir?
The Assemblia, please.
Right away.
Okay, so you have to take her. Are you gonna take Calden, Vasco, or Amadea?
Let's bring Amadea, because she's kind of a good replacement for Calden. They kind of alternate. Tank character, DPS, DPS. Sort of. Plus, I do like Amadea. And Calden has the bad reputation of dying. Easy.
You need to hide.
Comfortable?
Well, we can't have a fae walking around with us now, can we? Let's go.
So it just folded itself up and put itself in his pocket or something?
Presumably.
Okay, the Assemblia.
Cool.